Well, for me, I always felt like it's important for the world to hear the Christian, the biblical perspective on love, on romance, relationships. It's a conversation that, in my opinion, is something that we need to have, something that we haven't had or haven't had much of. The response has been pretty positive so far. I think the initial concern was just to ensure that whatever was communicated through the music didn't in fact contradict or misrepresent my stance as a Christian. I think for me the biggest challenge would be just trying to ensure that the biblical element doesn't get lost to social relevance or cultural relevance. I think sometimes we could try so hard to be relevant in our society that we lose or compromise something of the biblical message and the core message of the gospel.
See a lot of us professing to be saved, but we know not how to be a real man, how to be a father, how you expect to know how to treat a queen if you ain't followed in the footsteps of a
I grew up listening to a lot of Papa San and a lot of Rashot. I think those guys were able to speak to society from that biblical standpoint. Why not? I mean, we're living in a time right now where marriages are failing. We can see the stats and at an alarming rate. You know, I always admire hearing the older folk or the more mature folk talk about how they were able to persevere and work it through thick and thin, good, bad, ugly. There was that desire, that innate desire to work to make it work. I feel like a bit of that is missing in modern day society. It's almost as if everything is dispensable. Things, people, we've lost something of that sense of commitment, that sense of honor, that sense of perseverance.
Two is better than one. I ain't trying to have fun. I'm talking about real commitment, official. Let's get it done, girl. 365. Girl, each and every day with you by my side. I can't let you.
There's a verse where Paul says, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church." Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. That's correct. For me, it sets a standard. It sets a bar. That level of requirement, in that this is what we measure ourselves by, and it's a pretty high bar in that this love is unconditional. It's not dependent on how the other person feels. It's not dependent on whether they are at their best or circumstances are at their best, because ultimately God loved us and embraced us at our worst.
I know that my love ain't perfect. I've made mistakes and I'm sorry.